Ole, welcome. My name is Daphne, and I'll be your guide today as you enjoyed listening to the exciting ways that music can tell stories. I'm here with the Mansfield Symphony and Catherine Kilburn, who will conduct or lead the orchestra. When we set music to a story, it gives us clues about the place where the story occurs, called the setting of the story. As you'll soon hear, music can take us to far-off places, and we want to bring all of you with us on this musical journey, a trip to Spain. Spain is a country in the south of Europe with a very old history. In Spain, you can find big medieval castles and cathedrals, Roman aqueducts and amphitheaters, Muslim castles, and even Scottish ruins. And Spain is famous for its festivals, its music, and its dances. We all know what it's like to tell or to listen to a good story. Today, we are going to tell you a story with music, a story about a Spanish festival. In the village, everyone is full of excitement. The day of the festival has come. It's morning, and everyone is thrilled. The whole town comes to the streets with an outburst of energy. A festival morning starts with a big parade, with people of all ages dancing, singing, laughing, and getting ready for a full day of festivities. In the orchestra, we will hear a big splash of sound and thrilling rhythms, with everyone playing instruments, moving fast and forward. But if you listen very closely, under all this noise, you can hear two teenagers talking delightfully about all of the excitement of the day. Our teenagers are played by our friends, the violin and the clarinet. But let's all go to the festival. Let the festival commence. As the parade passes through the village with all the wild and raucous young people dancing and singing, trailing behind, here come the wiser and solemn grandparents. "Oh, those kids, look at them," they say, shaking their heads. Then they start to remember the old days when they themselves were young. They say things like, "Remember that year? And oh yes, that year. What year was that? And just like folk tales are passed on by grandparents and parents by word of mouth, so are the traditions of the festival. Let's listen to what the horns say with their melancholic tune. with strings add. Ah, yes, those were the days. We knew how to have fun, how to dance, not like these young people with their nonsense dances. Ah, yes, we danced the Spanish gypsies. We danced the flamenco, the fandango, they say, remembering. Ms. English Horn seems to be lost in her memories, as she almost seems to shed a tear while singing a beautiful melody. But Mr. Horn, who is opinionated and always complains, interrupts her. These kids today don't have any respect, always loud and playing with those phones of theirs all day. And so, on they go, Ms. English Horn singing and daydreaming, and Mr. Horn complaining about the youngsters. In the end, while they continue their slow walk behind the parade, the grandparents in a big chorus start singing a beautiful, solemn melody, a longing tune that brings them back to their youthful years. As the grandparents end their melancholy song, a young and playful little girl, the flute, comes along and joins them, gracefully dancing around them in circles. And as they follow the little girl, mesmerized, in a final circle, she quickly spins around and runs to join the parade. And there again is the parade, with everyone noisily dancing and singing and having fun. The parade has come to a halt. All the excitement and noise is interrupted, as you heard, by the sound of drums. You can still hear them. The parade has arrived at its destination. And what is this? The Spanish gypsies are in town, and they will perform their famous Spanish dances. The gypsies come to the stage with a big, loud, passionate brass fanfare. If you listen closely, you'll hear all of them. Trumpets, trombones, horns, all of them are now on the stage. And now here is one of the most famous dancers, one that performs solos all over the world, the famous violin. Everyone is silent now and listens as the violin makes his triumphal entrance. After his entrance, the violin introduces the rest of the Spanish gypsy dancers as they all begin a slow dance. Flute, clarinet, oboe, and harp show off their own solos, singing passionate, beautiful melodies while the gypsies keep dancing. Suddenly, the trombones and the strings come in with a very energetic zapateado, a Spanish tap dance, and the gypsies begin to become more and more excited. They dance, and little by little, more of them come onto the stage as the dance continues on more energetically. Their dance becomes more exciting and rapid. Look, now the gypsy dancers are dancing their flamenco dance around the audience, hypnotizing them until captivated, little by little, everyone in the audience starts to dance with the gypsies, the same mesmerizing flamenco dance. The excitement builds until everyone is dancing the flamenco, old and young. Everyone dances in a frenetic manner, full of excitement, till the end of the night. Flamenco anymore. Now they're dancing a fandango from the north of Spain. How happy everyone is now. What beautiful melodies. If you listen carefully, you'll also hear the castanets. Something tells me the flamenco is coming back. Everybody's having a great time, but be ready for the final hooray! The gypsies, the audience, everyone is gearing up for the ending. Soon things are going to get very fast and very loud. And now everyone, like an entire orchestra, is dancing, singing, and having fun. Let's see how this all ends. Wow, what a festival that was. And we were able to tell you that great story with music. The music is called Capriccio Espagnol, and it was composed or written by Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov. Capriccio Espagnol means Spanish character. This music sounds so Spanish that when you hear it, you almost feel as though you are in Spain in the middle of a festival. But how can we feel as though we're in a different country or in another state just by listening to music? We can hear banjos and mandolins, maybe country music, and we may think we're in a barn in Tennessee. Or we hear a loud brass street band and our minds quickly travel to a Mardi Gras parade in the streets of New Orleans. What gives music its nationality, its setting, are the rhythms, melodies, and harmonies they use. Those based on the songs taught from one generation to another, popular and folk songs that belong to each region. When music uses those songs, the music is recognizable. The music you just heard sounds Spanish because it uses Spanish music. During the story, you met some of our friends, instruments of the orchestra. Let's see if you remember some of them. At the beginning of the piece, during the big parade, two friends were talking to each other. One of those friends was the clarinet. Here is how the clarinet sounds. And do you remember the playful little girl dancing around the grandpas? Yes, that was the flute. Here it is. The clarinet and the flute are part of a family of instruments called the woodwinds. They're called woodwinds because at one point they were all made with wood or hollow reeds. In the woodwind family, we also have the oboes. And the bassoons. And now, the full woodwind section sounds like this. Next, we have the brass section. As given away by the name, the brass section is called that because its instruments are made of brass. Remember in the story when the Spanish gypsies came in with a big fanfare? Well, that was the brass section. In the brass section, we have horns, trumpets, trombones, and the big guy, the tuba. And all together, they sound like this. At one exciting point in our story, you heard the parade get interrupted by the big sound of the drum. Drums are part of the percussion section. They're called percussion instruments because they need to percuss, which means that someone needs to tap or hit those instruments to make a sound. In the percussion section, we have drums, timpani, the triangles, cymbals, the bass drum, and many, many more instruments. Here is how they sound. And finally, we have all of these musicians, the string section of the orchestra. The string section is the largest. It's the section that plays the most music within the orchestra. Each instrument in this section has 4 strings, which are rubbed with a bow so that the strings vibrate and make sound. The string instruments come in different sizes, and the larger the size of the string instrument, the lower they sound. The smallest and highest of all is the violin. Then comes the viola, the cello, and the largest and lowest of all is the bass. And now, this is how the strings sound. Now you know the woodwind section, the brass section, the percussion section, and the string section. And when we put all of those sections together, we have an orchestra. The entire orchestra sounds like this. And now, we have one more piece of music for you. During our story, the Spanish gypsies were dancing some famous dances from Spain. They danced flamenco, fandango, zapateados. We want to leave you with another Spanish dance, the jota. The jota is danced all over Spain, but it comes mostly from northeastern Spain. The jota is a vivid dance in which the dancers move in circles, and at one point, singers stand in the middle of the circle and perform solos. After the solos are performed, the bright circling dance starts again. Listen carefully to see if you can hear when this happens. And now that you know the families of the orchestra, pay close attention to see if you can hear the different instruments. Here is España by Emmanuel Chabrier, performed by the Mansfield Symphony Orchestra, conducted by Catherine Kilburn. Wow, that was exciting. Could you hear the strings, woodwinds, brass, and percussion family instruments? Thank you to the Mansfield Symphony, conducted by Maestra Catherine Kilburn, for sharing all the wonderful gifts of music they have with us. And now, it's time for our question and answer section of the program, where we will answer questions submitted from some of the students just like you. So, our first question comes from a Claymont third grade student named Aiden. How long does it take to set up the stage, like this whole stage, and get everything ready for the performance? Well, Maddie Penwell, our symphony operations manager, says it takes a couple of hours to set up the chairs, instruments, music stands, and everything that you guys see on stage right now. Behind the scenes, though, our team spends many weeks preparing materials, deciding songs, setting up the stage lights and sound equipment, rehearsing the music, and making sure that everything runs smoothly. Thank you, Aiden. That was a great question. We have another great question from another Claymont third grader named Jackson. How does it feel playing live? Do you still get nervous? Jane Price, who plays the bassoon, says, playing live is like the cherry on top of a sundae that you just made. We practice the making of the music, and our cherry on top is sharing the music with others, just like you guys. Do I get nervous? Yes, I do get nervous. There's that note that has to be played super soft. That makes me nervous. There's that fast spot that I've practiced, and I hope it comes out okay. Yes, I still get nervous. This is a good question, too. What do you miss about live performances? Sharon Blades plays the viola, and she says, what I miss about live performances is being in the middle of gorgeous sound and listening to the sound of my own instrument, joining in the music. This question comes from Eleanor, who is in third grade and is also from Claymont. What is your favorite part about being a conductor? Catherine Kilburn, who is our guest conductor today, says, what I love most about conducting is the collective energy that exists in the moment when we all make music together. An orchestra is a place where each musician's individual contribution and the cumulative efforts of the whole orchestra create something magical. We bring the music on the page to life. We realize the inspiration and ingenuity of the composer, and we come together from our diverse lives with a common purpose, to share music with our audiences and with each other. I think it's pretty awesome. And our last question is there a good book to read with this concert? A great book to read about the orchestra is called The Story of the Orchestra. Listen while you learn about instruments, music, and the composers who wrote the music. There are also additional resources listed in the teacher guide. And this brings us to the end of our program today. We hope you enjoyed our concert, and we really appreciate you were able to visit with us today. Thank you to the Mansfield Symphony Orchestra, Catherine Kilburn, the Renaissance team, and our generous sponsors. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you next year.